able to live right, raise our children right, because we say they are the leaders of tomorrow, so that the future can enjoy bliss and peace. So last month we treated handling burnout, and it was amazing that after the meeting we had people calling in, and it occurred to us that this thing is really an issue and there's a need to talk about this. At the family meeting, we treat different topics around family. But you see, we can't be talking about being a good parent, being a good wife, and not paying attention to the emotional and the psychological aspect, right? And so there was a meeting we had, and I said, so how are you all doing? And people started sending different messages. Somebody said, I'm overwhelmed. Somebody said, managing. Somebody said, we're just living by and by. And we thought there's a need to talk about how to handle this phase. We have all found ourselves in a situation where we did not plan or we did not expect. While we were talking about post-COVID, I'm sure we didn't believe or we didn't expect that it's going to be like this. And so there's a need to educate ourselves as family members on how to navigate every situation we find ourselves. And that is why we are here. So in the chat box, I want you all to just tell me, how has it been with you? How are you doing? How are you coping? Or how are you harmonizing yourself in all these things? I know they say there's no balance. You can't balance it. You just need to learn to harmonize it. So how has it been? How has life been for you? Please let's feel free to talk. I'm expecting our chats. You know, when you go for weddings, when you have families, you be like, how are you? And you exchange pleasantries. That's what I want us to do now. So how are you doing? And if you're dropping how you're doing, just tell me where you're joining in from. And after that, we'll continue. Our speaker is already in the house. I'm so excited. So excited about this. Yes, I'm waiting. Please, can you hear me? Can we all hear me? I just want to be sure.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. All right, Mavi from Lagos. I'm learning to adjust, celebrating my small wins and show myself some compassion. Awesome. That's a beautiful one. Let's learn to celebrate our small wins. That's our power spot. By the time you see that, oh, I'm able to, fine, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm just able to make like 2. Celebrate it. Celebrate it. It's very important. Let's celebrate it. There's this thing he does to us. Thank you, Abibo. Abibo is joining in from Port Harcourt. Abibo, so how are you doing? Tolani from Lagos, thank you. Admin, can you please mute Caroline? Caroline. Thank you, admin. Thank you. Yes, I'm still waiting to read. Let's genuinely show that we care about one another, and that's why I'm doing this. We are families, right? It's only Mavi that has responded. Deji, how are you doing? Diva Premium, how are you doing? Mudukbe, how are you doing? Yeah. Abibo said, I'm learning to think better about my works. True. We all have to re-strategize and replan, you know, and think about how to do more, right? And there's room for more. That's just the truth. So I was joking this morning when somebody was asking, so why is everything happening? I said, okay. So instead of me saying, why me, Lord? I'll say, so God, what's in this for me? That's what you just did. I'm learning to think better about my works. Yeah, so while I wait for other people to drop how they're doing, like I said, I don't want to waste your time. I have Eze Oguchiko Emeka in the house. Emeka is an amazing, amazing person. He's a psychotherapist. He's a neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, and he is the head of academics for the Olushola Coaching Academy. And he is here this morning. This morning, I'm not going to do the regular question and answer. So I want him to teach us and tell us everything we need to know, the things we need to do, the things we are not supposed to do about stress. So this morning is like a teaching session, and that's what we want to do. So Emeka, good morning. I want you to introduce yourself, and I hand over the microphone. No, I can't hear you. You're muted. You're muted. Okay, so while we're waiting for Emeka to
now
audio,
yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Boost was not allowing me on mute initially. So
oh, okay.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be here. How you doing?
Thank you, Emeka. Thank you for accepting to do this with us.
Oh. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Right.
We're talking stress.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. All right. Good morning, everybody.
What do we need to know about stress? Yeah.
So you're not doing a question and answer, so I could just take it up.
Yes, please take it up.
Awesome. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's good to be here. I see Buki George. Good morning, and a few other people I don't know. It's an honor being here. Okay, I see Gideon. I know Gideon. Good morning.
Please, let's show Emeka the love now. Family love. Can we buzz Emeka in the chat box? Let's welcome Emeka. It's really a cold morning, right? I know. Yeah, Emeka, over to you.
All right, awesome. It's so good to be here. And the subject we're discussing this morning is not a hard one. Yeah, it's not a hard one. It's not something that is out of the ordinary. It's today's most common occurrence. We live in a highly stress-inducing world. We would have thought that because of all the things we have, all the technological advancement and everything that we have, life would be a lot more stressless. But it's almost as though that's the direct opposite had been the case over the years. Like the more sophisticated we get as a species, the more advanced we get as a people, the more complex our life becomes, the more stress. In fact, choice alone is a stressor. The mere fact that you have, okay, I want to buy what? Maybe I want to buy a toothbrush, all right? Just one toothbrush, that's all I want. Then I go to the supermarket or the department store and I see 100 different brands of toothbrush. I need to run through that 1,000 brands and pick one, or maybe that 100 brands and pick one. That sheer volume that I have to pick from alone is stress-inducing if I think of it like that. So we live in a very stress-inducing world, and it's not getting easier. So it is not. I'm trying to get the English word now. To think that you're going to get to a point where life in itself, this frame, this dimension, which staying in itself will become less stress-inducing, it's not a very fruitful thought. The best you can do is learn how to now master this space so that you are not touched by the stressors that we have around us. So stress is a common thing. Stress is a very strong part of today's world. And if you understand that it is a leading cause of ailments till today, this is not me just gisting, this is the World Health Organization telling you that all stress, all disease, not 80 to 95% of all diseases are caused by stress. 80 to 95% of all diseases. In fact, most times you go to the hospital, doctor will tell you, after he had given you all the other things he needs to give you, he will tell you to rest. What he's telling you is you're stressed. And because you're stressed, you're falling ill. So let's look at stress. What is stress? Okay, so I don't want to do slides, but let me just use the slides to prime so that people can see something. What is stress? Stress happens. Stress is not the events. It's not the events that happen. So life events are not the things that stress you. No, life events do not stress you. Stress happens when you perceive an event. Now this is, so we're coming to the word perception. Stress happens when you perceive an event. Excuse me, I'm trying to just get this sorted. When you perceive an event as, okay, perceive yourself as not having the capacity or ability to deal with a particular event. So the event is happening, all right? It is happening in real time. It is going on its own. But when you sense in yourself that, look, my ability or capacity to deal with this event is not enough, stress will be induced. That's why two people can be facing the same circumstance. One person is stressed by that circumstance, the other person is not stressed. So the circumstance is not what is imposing the stress. It is the person's ability to respond to that circumstance, relate with that circumstance. That's where stress happens. If the ability, the capacity to respond is sufficient, the person will not be stressed. The moment that capacity is not sufficient, or the person perceives himself as not being capable. Now, and this capability now or capacity is not in, it's not always conscious. So you look at the task, so, oh, this thing is too much. The moment you begin to tell yourself, this thing is too much, this thing is too much, what you're saying to yourself is, I don't have enough to deal with this. It is in that moment that stress begins to happen. The moment your capacity to deal with life issues, your perception of yourself in the space of that capacity is one and it's lacking, that's when stress starts to happen. All right. That's why some people can be in a supposedly stress-inducing situation, but the stress to those ones is almost like oxygen. They thrive. They perceive that environment differently. They perceive their capacity to deal with that environment differently. So whereas other people are saying, look, this is too much, they're saying, more, can you give me a little more? It is in your perception, your perception of your ability and capacity to respond to a stressful or to a life circumstance or a life situation. Now, the first thing I want us to understand as we relate with stress is that, and this is if we're going to get to the point where we now begin to learn how to master it, this is the very first thing you must cast. You hold it as a belief, hold it as a firm belief about life events. This simple truth that all life events are neutral. It's hard for most people to accept it, right? Because every time we try to define ourselves, we define ourselves based on what we have gone through or what we are going through, such that we have a very strong affiliation with our challenges. I don't know if you're following me, right? A very strong affiliation, a very strong association, so that if we cannot define ourselves outside the things we are going through, the things we have gone through. That's how we define ourselves. So there is a marriage we have made with life circumstances that makes us think that these circumstances are a part of our life. Your life does not happen in the events that happen to you. We don't measure your life in the events that happen to you. As a matter of fact, the power and the deepest expression of your life is not in the events that happen to you. We measure your life in how you respond to those events. So those events are more like what we call, they're more like props. Exactly. If your life was a movie, the events are like props. We will measure your life at every time T by how you respond. So life does not happen in the event, life happens in the response. And it's in that response that stress is. Such that if you must first grasp that all life events are neutral, right? All. And I might sound a little, it might seem like I'm a little insensitive, because when I say all, I mean all. Like every single one, they are neutral. They have no capacity to make you feel anything in themselves, by themselves. I'll say that again. No life event has the capacity to influence I would influence is a very fluid word to use, has the capacity to make you, definitely make you feel anything. You feel something after you have thought about that event in a particular way. So it is your thoughts that draws the event into your life and makes it a part of your life. And then because you have used your thoughts to bring it into your life as a part of your life, you will feel certain ways. And because you are feeling in a particular way, you're going to make certain decisions and behave in a particular way. And that behavior will lead to your outcome. People will think that the event had caused the outcome that you have. I mean, everybody thinks events cause outcomes. No, thoughts cause outcomes. It is not the event that created the outcome. It is the thought, your thought about the event that led the chain reaction that bettered your outcome. Why am I saying this? So that we can grasp the essence of stress and know that stress is self-contained. It's self-originating. When I say self, it originates in yourself. It is contained in yourself. Stress does not come from outside you. Stress does not come from outside you. It originates within you. It is sustained by your thoughts. And then it leads to, your thoughts leads to a sequence of events that bets your outcome. So let me now explain stress from definition. So I just painted a lot of scenarios so you can understand how this thing works. Now, I have defined stress to you as your ability, your capacity to respond to life event. I've tried to paint life events as neutral events. Now, but let's look at stress. The man who coined the word stress and made it a part of our vocabulary there is a man called Hans Siller. He used to be in those days they have a very broad, they could study a lot of things. He used to be an endocrinologist, but then what we know him for most was pathology. He was a pathologist. As a pathologist, he carried out autopsy on over 1,000 bodies before, at least that he could record, over 1,000 autopsies. In carrying out these autopsies, he discovered something. And what he discovered now led to how the whole concept of stress was bettered. He discovered that that people were not dying of old age. So get this. He discovered that it was not age that was killing people. It was wear and tear. And someone else said, okay, if it's not age, it should be wear and tear should be caused by age. He now said, no, it is not even aging, growing that causes wear and tear. It is wear and tear that causes aging. And it's not the fact that you've lived long that makes your organs wear and tear. No. The very thing that causes the wear and tear, Hansel defined it as stress. Say it again. The thing that causes the wear and tear of your organ, Hansel defines it as stress. So let me show you so that we can. I'll be running back and forth just to get us a picture of what I want to share. Right. The human body. Okay, let me just move. All right, go back. right? This is your human body. The human body is designed to rebuild itself. So it is designed for self-regeneration. That's why if you have a cut and you are in pristine health, the cut will heal. You don't even need to cover it. It will. Can you still hear me? Hello, can you still hear me?
We can hear you now, but we lost you at some point. We lost you briefly there.
All right, but you can hear me now.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Awesome. All right, so the human body, like I was saying, is designed to rebuild, renew itself. It is designed for spontaneous regeneration. If you look at the slide I have in front of you, your DNA renews itself every 2 months. Upgrades with programs every 2 months. Your skin cells rebuild themselves every 1 month. Your liver cells rebuilds itself every 6 weeks. Your stomach lining rebuilds itself every 5 days. Your brain rebuilds itself every year. Your blood rebuilds itself every 4 months. Your bones build a whole new skeleton. Some people would say it's 3 months. Some would say that every 10 years, you have a full new skeletal system. For example, if you continue hitting a side of, say this side of your arm on the wall, just continue hitting it. If they take a bone x-ray, what they will discover is that the bone will kill itself on this side and then go back out on the inner of your arm and grow out again, all by itself. This thing is happening without your control. That's how your body has been designed. Now here's the catch. If the body had been programmed to function like this, then why do people fall sick? It's key. So if it's been functioned to rebuild itself, why would aging kill people? The one thing that gets in the way of your body's functioning in rebuilding itself is stress. Stress. So let me go back to the very beginning and now show you what's his name now, Hansel I found. Let me just stop sharing. What he found was that after every stressful event, the organism, right? The person that's gone through that stressful event, right, pays for it. And they pay for it with aging. So the consequence of stress in your system is that you age. What that aging really is that there is a wear and tear in your organs. So if I can keep stress away from myself, I'm most likely, I don't mean that you will live forever. I'm just saying that you will not age fast and then you will not die quick, right? You will follow a normal course. Most of the oldest people, if you're going to study longevity, there are quite a number of things, a number of factors or things that factor into how people live long. But there are 2 cities in the world, somewhere in Japan, where they have a concentration of the oldest people ever. The one thing you'll notice about that's concentration, they have the highest number of concentration of oldest people in the world. I mean, the average person there lives to 90, 102, and at that time they are still active. They don't use cane, they don't use glasses. One of the things they discovered about them was that their own environment, right, is structured such that it is less stress-inducing. As in less, they have all the fun they should have, they have all the quiet they should have, they have all the activities they should, in fact. And the funny thing is, it wasn't work. These people were, they didn't have a retirement age, so to speak. So they still had things they were doing up until 90. They were not waiting for death, but they removed all the stressors from their life, not in the fact that they were not sick. Some of them were gardeners, some of them were farmers, but they changed how they thought about stress. They changed how they thought about the world, how they thought about life. so they could still keep doing the things they always love to do and see life as a place where they live out their purpose. Remove all the mad stressors, both in their environment and then most especially in their mind. And they have still dates. They have the concentration currently of the what's it called? Of the largest number of aged people in the world. So this is what I was trying to say. So you'll get it. I'm trying. All right, is it? So it is not stress that kills you. And that's Hansela. It is your reaction to it. It is your conscious reaction to it. It is how you choose to react to what's happening to you that kills you. But this is the real thing I was trying to get. See, every stress leaves an indelible scar in the organism. It leaves an indelible scar. So it's a scar that you cannot walk away from. The organism pays for its own survival after a stressful situation by becoming a little older. A little older. And nobody could understand this well than Hansela. He actually gave us the word stress. Your body is in either of two states at every time. It's either in growth mode or it's in protection mode. When your body is in growth mode, everything is going fine. Nothing is stopping your function. Nothing is stopping your internal function. Your immune system functioning normally. You're in pristine health because you're in growth mode. The moment your body moves into protection mode, right, and it moves into protection mode because it perceives something as a threat. Short of that thing being an organism that has been introduced into your system, and understand the body will not even stress you at that point. If a foreign organism enters into your system, the body all by itself marshals up, stimulates your immune system. You get an instant response coming to knock off that external agent that is inside your body. Your body does that all by itself. Now, if you now begin to tell the body that there is a threat around, now get this, there is no threat inside it. There is no foreign organism inside it. There is no foreign agent inside your body, but you are via your thoughts communicating to your body. I think it was Deepak Chopra who says that every single cell in your body, you are eavesdropping on your internal conversation. You have about 5 trillion cells, single cells in your body, and each one of them are full intelligence. They can do everything your body is doing. So each cell can reproduce, they can excrete, they can, so everything that your body can do, a single cell can do it. People often think that intelligence is domiciled in the brain. Really and truly, intelligence is spread around your entire body. The human being is a walking intelligence. Now, if each single cell in your body have the capacity to do everything you're doing. Now, every time you begin to say, look, there's a threat in my environment. There is a threat in my environment. The moment you start saying that, the cells pick it. Now get this, the threat is not inside you. The threat is external of you, but your body had picked it. Your internal dialogue had picked that thing as an information. And the body will now do what? Prepare you to resist that threat. So the body had gone from growth mode, it is entered into protection mode. When the body goes into protection mode, depending on what message you are sent, if you are sent a fear message, the fear priming is different. So fear, you will do one thing, either of two things in fear. When you are afraid, you either want to run or you want to disappear. So there is an entire biological system that is kicked into place. Fear, if you are going to escape, it means you have to run. It means that the muscles in your leg needs to be primed. It means that blood has to run out from your heart, and it means your entire body has to release a lot of adrenaline that is required for you to take that burst. Now that's what the body will do, because the human brain, get this, the human brain is primal. The human brain is evolved not to help you thrive. The human brain evolved to help you survive. I'll take this again. So you get this. Your brain was not, did not evolve. I don't want to talk about design because it was designed differently. Because of how we have lived, your brain evolved to help you survive. Survival is predicated upon the fact that there is stress. There is danger. If there is no danger, there is nothing to survive. So for your brain to really carry out the function of priming you for survival, it has to look for danger around. When you send a danger signal to yourself now, and your brain picks up that danger signal, it primes your body. So adrenaline is released, glucose is released, your leg muscles are fired up, you are supposed to run. But if this was a thought, if it was a thought that induced the fear, what happens is you have all of these chemicals inside your system and you are not running. You're not going anywhere. In the olden days, our fathers needed this biological priming to survive. Maybe they were running away from a cheetah, or they were running away from a lion, or from one of those dangerous animals. They need all of this priming to run. But we live in the modern day where the thing that is making you afraid is not a lion. It's not cheetah. It's school fees. It is house rent. It's an abusive spouse. It's an abusive boss. It's Lagos traffic if you live in Lagos. So these things are the things that are inducing a fear response in you, right? But you are not running anywhere. And unlike your fathers or our forefathers that would have used that burst of energy, all the chemicals dumped into their system, used it up when they were running or when they were fighting. I'll come back to fight. When they were fighting, you don't get to use it up. It stays in you. And then you are still consistently in that environment that is allowing you interpret situation as fearful. So what you are doing is you're consistently programming yourself, okay, pour more adrenaline, release more glucose. I mean, strengthen my leg muscles. And you're not using them for anything. What happens is that the more those chemicals stay in your system, the more the organs that they're supposed to function, to use to function, start to wear out. That's how stress begins to cause hurts. The same process could have happened for anger. Anger response will lead you to fight. So fear primes you to either flee or freeze. Anger primes you to fight. So oftentimes, the first thing you notice in anger is a palpitation. So your heart is beating. Blood is coming to your arms. Your arms are coming into fist because that's where fight comes from. And if you fight with your hands and your leg, the same way, your body drives blood. Continue pumping blood heavily. One of the things you notice when you're angry is this constant beat. You're overworking your heart. So if I stay consistently in anger, get this, my heart is going to consistently keep beating until after a point, it loses rhythm. That's why, yeah, Lagos, it depends on where you stay. Lagos school fees is worse than Lion Park. Oh my God. Interesting. So you see how stress works. The moment your body moves into protection mode, your immune system drops. That's a
Hi, Emeka.
Yeah.
So I want you to be as practical as possible, because
Okay.
you see, you are wearing your prof hat now. I want you to be as practical so that, like somebody mentioned in the chat box, the Lagos school fees, a lot of things, the school fees, the people working with you, your boss, all those things. So you're saying that stress is not the event.
Yeah.
But our capability to respond or react to any event that is happening around us is the one that induces and triggers that reaction that we put up.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you also said something that death is not caused by wear and tear. Right? Am I correct?
In a way. In a
So
way,
death is not caused by aging.
by
Yeah,
aging. Yeah, aging.
it's not
Death
caused
is
by
caused by wear
aging.
and tear.
So it is the wear and tear from the stressful event that eventually lead us to
Exactly.
that. It's beginning to be scary somehow, because so how do we now, what are we
Yeah.
supposed to do?
I mean, I'm about to nosedive into that. So I'm living the
All
scary.
right. All right.
I'm living the scary stuff. It's just so you
Yeah.
understand that this is real. This stuff is real. It's real. And these things are there. One of the things I first want us to understand, and I think in dealing with stress, this is particularly powerful. Before you came to this world, these things have been happening. Can you get it first? They've been paying school fees before you came. People have been having children. People have been staying in Lagos. I mean, traffic has been in Lagos since the 80s, so it's not a new thing. It's just that it's worse now, but it's always been there from the beginning. All right. People have been working in worse workplaces. All right. People have had crazy spouses before now. What I'm trying to say is you need to first accept that, look, these events would always be, even after I'm gone. These events are not me. Now, can I find myself apart from the event? One of the things I often tell people who feel like they cannot remove themselves from anything, no, it's part of our life. Now, I ask them, when you are sleeping in the night, when you finally slept, right? When you've gone through all the sleeplessness and you finally slept, do you remember school fees inside the dream, inside the sleep? Do you remember house friends? Do you remember that your workplace is crazy? Do you remember? You don't remember any of those things, but are you still alive when you are asleep? Oh, so you can be alive and you are not touched by anything that is happening in this life, and you have not died. Nothing did you. Pardon my French. You're still alive. Your brain is working like it should work. Your lungs are working. All your body organs are working, functioning perfectly. And then all the problems are still there. Two of you are apart. Problem is in one place. You are in one place. And nothing. Can you grasp that? Look, that's a reality. There is actually a state I can be in that these things don't touch me. Now, the question you will now have to ask, so how do I simulate this state when I am awake such that I can be awake and still treat these things as events? Because that's what they really are. They are neutral events. Because until you can separate yourself from the event, you cannot think about it realistically. I'll say it again. Until you can separate yourself from the event, you can't think about it realistically. Remember that stress happens in your thinking. So when you do that separation, the first thing that comes is clarity of thought, because that's when you ask yourself, what do I want? In my time working as a coach and a psychotherapist, one of the things I discovered is that I know a lot of people who know what they don't want. They are very good at what they don't want, and what you don't want, constantly hammering on what you don't want, is a stressor. I'll say it again. Constantly hammering on what you don't want is a stressor. And get this, because you are constantly hammering on it, it is what you will keep seeing. I'll say it again, because you are tied to what you don't want. It is what is your constant thoughts. That's what you will keep seeing. And that's why you keep staying stressed. So instead of fixating on what you don't want, the question is, what do you want? Bookie is saying stress of domestic staff. Domestic staff, that one is even the one that interests me sometimes the most. Half of the time, you know why the Oga is stressed by the behavior of domestic staff? I know some domestic staff are partially demonic. They say partially, there can be some small demon. But at the heart of this is sometimes the boss is expecting the domestic staff to behave like him or her. So to know all the things that he or she knows and do all the things like he or she would have done it. How can you not be sensible? The first thing you must understand that this person is a domestic staff. This person first is a domestic staff. The person is a human being like you, with faculty like you, but the person had brought his or herself under subjugation to you. Now, a lesson in human behavior will help you understand that that person would come with a very low sense of self-worth. That sense of self-worth will conflict his or her capacity to act. And the person is consistently looking at you and saying, I've not been like this person. How come my life not be like her own? So that your domestic staff is in a flux. For those of us who would live abroad, you realize that one of the hardest things, most difficult things, right, to do to get abroad is a domestic staff. In fact, in all the countries you may have lived in, except you go to the Latin America, if you're in North America and you're in Europe, what you will discover is that none of their citizens work as domestic staffs. It is not, so it is those foreigners that you take, and none of their citizens. It's one of the hardest things to get. That's one of the signs of wealth of a nation sometimes. Yeah. So your domestic staff has a low sense of self-worth, doesn't have your own perception, your view of life. She doesn't have your education, your experience, your exposure. Excuse me, she can't behave like you. She can't know what you know. So you are expecting her to be 100%. Your expectation is what is stressing you, not the domestic staff. If you change your expectation and relate with the person based on everything you know the person to have, stress will leave you once. So you get this, that it is thought perception. Everything that is happening inside you. The domestic staff is not your stressor. Your thoughts about her, your expectation of her, and the fact that those expectations are not aligned with the reality that you're seeing are the things that are creating stress for you. You are creating stress for yourself. All right, so I was saying first, learn. If you're going to deal with stress, the first thing you must learn, please grasp this very well. If I had time, I'll have shown you how stress prime emotions prime diseases. But I don't want to go there because let's stay on how to deal with it. All right? Exactly. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, you just got it. If this person has your level of exposure, your level of experience, your level of learning, if this person was like you, she will not be serving you. She won't be your domestic help. She will be your competition. So expecting your domestic help to function like Albert Einstein is easy. By virtue of her status, it is demeaning normally to her. So inside your house, she is not her full self. In that role, she is struggling with a lot of inferiority complex. How she pushes it out, some of them, because of the inferiority complex, they become wicked. Some others, they become almost completely docile. She's just telling you, I am in a place that reveals to me what I can be and I am not. Because she's inside your house. She sees your level of wealth. She sees the arrangement and she understands that human being gets this one. How come me? I'm where I am at. She's struggling with all of that when she's working with you. So if you take all of that, factor all of that into consideration, you just chill. You deal with the human being in front of you, not with what you expect the human being to be. Expectation management is a very key thing, but that's not what we're dealing with here. So, but just get it. That the first, when it comes to stress management, I don't even want to call it management, I want to call it mastery. All right? Yeah, those questions, yeah. It's not even that. Is this what I will do for the rest of my life? Those are the kind of questions she's asking. How do I get out? Especially when she has to now see your own kids. You know, those ones that will be the ones to raise your children from 0 to like 5. Like, when will stuff like this happen? And you say, oh, that's all they're having to contend with. Now let's come back to how to master it. First, understand, like I said, that this is an event. But what you want to learn to separate yourself from the event. Because until you can separate yourself from the event, you cannot make, now get this, you cannot make a choice that you own. Most people, when you ask them how their life, why they turned out the way they turned out, they will point to something, an event. They will tell you, I became like this because of that event. So what caused their outcome was the event. And that's what they will associate it with. But really and truly, it was not the event. Because there are certain people who will go through that same event and become somebody else in spite of the event. So one person became someone because of an event, another person became somebody better in spite of an event. So it was not the event, it was the choice. It was not the event, it was the choice. One person was present enough to know that, look, I can choose where I want to go, how I want to feel, what I want to do in spite of what is happening now. Okay, we don't have the school fees yet. What do I want to do? Instead of carrying this thing in my head all the way, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What are my options? Such that when I choose an option, I can rest on it. Rest is not something that happens to you physically. Rest is something that happens to you mentally. Some people can lie down and still are restless. So you know that lying down is not equivalent to resting. Resting is a quieting of the activities in your mind so that you can tell your mind, excuse me, I'm here, I'm at peace. Now, I will give you this cheat and I would tell us two things again and I'll wrap up. The average person thinks that they are, especially smart people, they think that their mind is what's powering them. And the mind believes it. Your mind believes that it is you. Your mind believes that there is no other entity inside your body except for it. Your mind believes that it is the one that programs you to do everything. So your mind can almost always be noisy. But help me understand this morning. Your mind is not you. Your mind is a tool like every other tool, organ you have in your body. Your mind is like your hand, it's like your brain, it's like your leg. You can decide not to walk and choose to sit down, right? You can decide not to gesticulate and choose to keep your hands by yourself. You can even decide to shut up. You can decide to shut your eyes because there are organs that are within your control. Your mind is within your control too. I'm talking about your conscious mind. This mind with which you engage this reality is within your control. You should be able to shut it down too. You should be able to tell the mind, okay, you know what? Quiet. I want to think. No, quiet. I want to be. Because that's when peace and rest actually happens. When your mind goes quiet and you are just there, untouched by anything that is happening in this world, that's when rest. In fact, that is what it really means to have a peace that passes human understanding. When your mind shut out, just quiet. Most people don't, because of the way we have learned to live. Most people don't know how to just tell the mind, peace. I want to rest. I want to rest. It's almost like the story of Jesus and the disciples in the sea. The sea was troubled. Sorry if you're not a Christian, I just want to draw that analogy, right? The sea was troubled. There was a tempest, a stormy sea. And then Jesus was sleeping. Who sleeps in a storm? Who does that? Who goes in a tornado and just lie down and can sleep? It's almost like, I don't know how to explain it. Well, I've seen people sleep under the bridge with all the buses and the noise going past. It takes a kind of peace to sleep there. Right? Who does that? How can you shut your mind even inside chaos? so that you now understand that the chaos is a system separate from you. The chaos exists and you exist. Two of you can go parallel and never meet, such that the chaos will still keep going and you're going and the two of you never meet. How do you learn to quiet your mind? People will talk about meditation. I can't go into the depths of it. One of the easiest things I learned is you can always do it. You can always quiet your mind. In fact, the simplest way to quiet your mind is to catch it. Almost like you're telling your mind, I'm here too, right? And how do you catch your mind? I will often tell people to try and think about their next thoughts. Just as you are there now, just try and think about your next thoughts. Catch your next thoughts before it comes. One of the first things you discover if you really do it, and for me, this is the biggest test for people who have a noisy mind. The ease with which you are able to think about your next thoughts tells me how noisy your mind is, how stressful your life is, because it's in your thoughts. So if you try it now, I want us to try it so that I'll just get a feedback. Just try. And it's almost like you're anticipating your next thoughts. Yeah, just try and anticipate your next thoughts. Anybody trying? So if you're trying, come out of it. Can you type in the chat box what you noticed? It's okay. It can be anything. Just type what you noticed in the chat box. Let me follow for a bit. Yay. Let me follow for a bit. It's already past there. Anybody? Anybody? Nobody is trying to think about their next thoughts. You are actually thinking. I didn't say you should think your next thought. Yeah, I didn't say you should think your next thought. So get my instruction. I say you should think about it. Oh. You can't do it. Is that healer? I think it's healer. Healer, you can't do it. You can't think about your next thought. Anybody else? Yeah, I know it's you. It's good to see you. It's good to have you in class. All right, so that we don't take a lot of time. What you will notice, all right, is the moment you try to think about your next thought, most people exactly know. If I'm to think about my next thought, I will be thinking, no, you're trying to catch it. You're trying to anticipate it. All right. Because really and truly, you're trying to think about your mind. That's what you're trying to think about. Exactly. I know it will confuse you. It's not a good, simple instruction. What does it mean to think about my next thought? My next thought is coming. Can I catch it? Can I catch it before it comes? Yeah, that's it. That's what it means. Can I catch the thought before it comes? So what happens when you try to do that? If you really try to do it, is, you know how they say it, how it's like when a deer is caught in the headlights, it just is frozen. Exactly. That's what happens. Your mind now senses that there is another thing inside this system apart from me. And then it freezes and like, whoa, there's somebody here. What you often notice if you really do it is that you blank out. In that moment, for some people, they'll be afraid. People who have a very noisy mind, whose mind there's always a thought. Once that thing happens to them, the first emotion that comes is fear. Like, whoa, oh, what's happening to me? Yeah, because they've arrived at a place where the mind is now saying there is somebody else inside this system apart from me. That is the first time you are asserting yourself over your mind. Now, the more, what you notice is that that blank space, if you can stay there for a longer time, you're teaching yourself to superimpose itself on your mind. That's what it means to, when people talk about presence, that's what you are trying to achieve when you meditate. You're trying to achieve presence where your being suffuses this entire system that your flesh is. Your mind is quiet and your being is fully inside you at that moment, saying, you know what, I'm here. You know the funny thing, the person that is asserting itself at that moment does not have a debt. That person does not have school fees debt. That person does not have, because that's is this one on the outside, this flesh that is attracting enemies. That one on the inside don't have no enemies. So what you want to do is you want to learn to expand that space. Get this, because it is in that space that you can make a decision that holds infinite wisdom. I would say this like it's an esoteric thing, but no. Go back to the boat. If you know that story of that boat very well, there were 12 guys. The second time Jesus was walking on the sea, right? There were 12 people in the boat. All of them were dying. Only one dude, Peter, just thought, you know what? Can I look away from the boat, look away from the fact that we're dying, and see the guy that is surviving? The moment he did that, the moment he could remove his attention from the immediate circumstance, which was a drowning boat, and focus on peace, he could move in a direction that negates the reality. Can you get that, what I'm trying to tell you? The person who is going to take you out of that situation you are in now, whatever the situation is trapped down by your thoughts. I take that again. The person who is going to walk you out of that depth, walk you out of that stressor, help you relate to the people who you think are stressors in your environment a lot more. That person is weighed down by your thoughts, your constant haranguing on the fact that, look, this is negative, this is bad, this is crazy. Tell the mind, shh, I want to be. So if you can learn to meditate, my word, that's the biggest advantage you could get. But some people wait for a place, a space, a time to meditate. Really and truly, if you want to manage stress, you've got to learn to be able to plug out of the world and enter into yourself consistently. When I teach people to do this, when I have sessions with them, I tell them to schedule it first. If you're going to learn it, schedule it. That, you know how you set alarm. So I tell them, set maybe every 3 hours. Once it strikes an hour, for that 1 minute, just blank out. You will notice that I have a deadline, I need to submit something. It's 1 minute you're taking away from it. 1 minute, just 1 minute. Schedule it. 8 o'clock, 9, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, you're learning. What you'll now discover is the moment you grasp that, you will now find that you can literally very easily drop out of yourself when you're in a stressful situation. You can actually detach, that's what they call it. Detach from the stressor, go into yourself and ask yourself, okay, right as this thing is happening now, what do I want? Like, what do I want? Recently, the flat under me was on fire. We're in class. I just finished the class that day, and I was just laying out on the couch in the sitting room, and my wife runs in and like, look, fire, fire, fire. I woke up. I just woke up like that, and ran downstairs. Like, the moment I saw the fire, I had to first slow down, like slow down, like, okay, what do we do now? I knew that if I go with panic, I won't know what to do. I'm still upstairs. The fire had not come to us yet. It's downstairs yet. But what do I do? In the chaos and commotion, people forgot that there was a tank, 2 tanks just of water just by the side here. I mean, they were running out of the building all the way to go get water, but there's tank here. We don't have taps in the building, but there's just, you could break a pipe and then start from 2 full GP tanks. And that was all we had to do. What happens is the person who is detached from that stressful situation can easily find a solution. The reason why people stay in stress for a long time and they repress the emotion, continue, is because they are allowing their thoughts to replay the cycle consistently, there is no clarity to move out. So a situation that should have just lasted for a couple of minutes could last for years. A trauma that had ended can still keep replaying itself and continue to induce stress perpetually because the person had not removed himself, separated himself from the circumstance, such that the person who would have brought the solution would think it up. So you want to learn that. You want to learn to ground, I call it earthing. You want to learn to earth yourself consistently. That's the first thing. The second thing is change your perception about your stressors. Perception is reality. Perception is reality. For example, I've not been able to pay school fees this year. All right. Realistically, what can I do? So my kids are going into school. What can I do? Can I make an upfront payment? Can I talk with the proprietor and work up a savings? What can I do? That's what you're thinking. What the average person says, we still don't have money. We still don't have money. No, but what can I do? So you're going from problem mode to solution mode and you're not hassled. Why? I mean, did I pay the school fees last year? Yes. Can I pay the school fees given time? Yes. So what can I do? The moment you go from problem to solution mode, that thing stops stressing you. It stresses you because you keep carrying it around. There is always an option. For every challenge in this life, I'll say it again, there is always an option. The only way you can find the option is by detaching from the problem. So what options do I have? All right, okay, if I go by my reality, can I pay these school fees for another 4 years if my kids are going to be there? If not, what options do I have? There is always an option. You know, the worst kind of stress we have in this dispensation is the stress we give ourselves by comparison. And I'm wrapping up here. The stress we give ourselves by comparison. 20 years ago, poverty used to stay in a single room or in a shanty and doesn't have anything. Today, poverty lives in 5-bedroom duplex, detached duplex, drives Range Rover Sports. And the person is in constant stress just to keep up with the Joneses and keep up appearances. So that's the worst kind of stress in today's world. The stress that comes from biting more than you can chew. Now you want to ask yourself, and you see, the person who will give you the solution is inside. Oftentimes you crowd the person with all the plenty thoughts and your mind's activity. When you free the person will tell you, these are the things we need to do. We need to cut down here, cut down there, cut down there, cut down there, bring our life to the place where we can grow it. You don't understand? When you have used debt to acquire to yourself what you cannot earn, where are you going to grow into? You blocked out the chance for growth. So even the bean is not going to find expression. You've caged him. Right? I'm just saying this because there's a kind of stress we acquire into ourselves, into our own lives, because we don't allow for growth. Ask yourself this simple question. This thing I'm killing myself over now, can I do without it? Really and truly, you can. Because if you die, the thing will still be there. Really and truly, you can. The question is this a stressor I can delete from my system? But if it's something constant, like a spouse, like a child, like a job, I've got to change if my job is stress-inducing, I need to go away from the job and go to what the job helps me do. So instead of focusing on the job, I'll focus on what the job helps me do. Does it help me pay my school fees? Does it help me pay my rents? I'm removing, I'm saying, okay, so I'm giving myself a reason to do it. Then I can ask myself, is there an option? Can I walk towards the option while I am changing my perception towards my work? See, it's happening inside your mind. If you can't change your perception about your stressor, you can't change your environment, you can't shift the stress, You're just going to put yourself in a situation whereby you are consistently aging because you're consistently stressed. And it's not because of the events happening around you. It's because of the events happening within you. As bad as the worst, the event that induces the highest level of stress is the death of a spouse. That's the highest. As bad as that event is, most people go through it with zero stress. They understand, they make it, they change their, they come to a better relationship with the concept of death. And then they appreciate the life of the person they've been with when the person was with them. And when they make that peace, that's the word, when they make that peace with the entire thing, they find that there's a way they can just keep moving forward. And that's what you want to learn to do. You want to learn to understand first, and this is how I wrap up, that life's events are neutral. Your thoughts bring them into your life, and because they're in your life, they're going to happen in you. If you want to stop those events from impacting your life, first, learn to separate yourself from the event. Second, learn to change your perception about your stressors. And if you keep doing this very well, you will learn how to use your own self, this being that you are, to find solution to the problems that are around you, such that the fact that the problems are there will not be consistent in your thoughts. And then those things will not continually stress you. I don't know if I've been helpful.
Wow. Wow, Emeka, that was a big one. Thank you so much for this exposition. And guys, I just want to hear your comments. Good, thank you. Bookie George said, excellent session. Go, Prof. Yes, Prof. That is the professor in the house. Thank you so much. Yes, I want to hear from you. How did the session go? Thank you so much. Yeah, mind-blowing, extremely enlightening. Thank you so much. You know, Prof, when you were talking, this being able to separate yourself from the event, you know, for me, naturally, I think maybe because I'm a very calm person, I have walked through this journey and I understand it. But I have quite a number of people around me and I worry for them because they're always stressed up. That's the word. And I feel I can just take it away from them, you know. And so after last month's meeting, the feedback, I just felt, no, we need to do something again to say that there are a lot of people going through, there are a lot of people in that state. And knowledge, they say, is power, even though I have also come to understand that practical knowledge is power. Thank you very much for teaching us this. And I want to believe that people will start practicing the staying away from the situation, you know, be yourself. I like the experiment you took us through to say that, thinking about it, actually, I discovered that I froze. I froze, you know. Later I thought of it, okay, so I froze. I couldn't go beyond then, and there was a blank space. I actually experienced it. But I want to ask, now we have a lot of noise. People have so many. How can we start? How can some people don't even know because they are in autopilot?
Yeah.
They're in autopilot. So how can we start? I don't want you to talk as if you're talking to professionals. You know, we are, how can we start? What can we do?
I guess what I'm going to tell you to do is slow down. See, slow down. Slow everything down. Nature itself.
Slow down.
Nature itself. Nature gets everything done, but never does it seem like nature is in a haste. This morning came like it should come. It wasn't rushed. It didn't arrive late, but the morning came. It's raining here in Lagos. The morning came out. I mean, the sun is even out now.
So within how many minutes? You know, I was surprised.
We are the ones who tend to rush everything. right? So if you're going to learn, I'm particularly concerned. I mean, it is important that we learn to quiet the mind, because like I personally believe that that's where everything happens. And like I said, you want to, every behavior is learned. Everything, the things you do well now was because you do them well because you started doing them at some point in your life, and then they enjoyed the benefit of repetition. So what you want to do is you want to start, please don't rush it. Don't try and master this thing in a day. I didn't master it in a day. I don't even think I will call myself a full master of any of these things yet, right? But I know that I can plug out of it. I can just drop out of my all the noise and just slow down, and just breathe and just be. Because in that moment, I'm not thinking of what I don't have, what I'm still chasing. In that moment, I'm just enjoying the moment. So how do you learn this? First, master that that blankness. Just try it, right? Just try it. You can schedule it for yourself, right? The Catalyst is running a 70-day meditation challenge. I don't know if you can still join, but that would have been a very good place for you to learn to meditate. Okay. But if you
we even have, so I don't think there's a possibility of joining, but we have videos on YouTube that can help. But after this session, I will also do an announcement on how to go about it. So go on, Prof.
Awesome. So schedule it. Set a timer. And don't fight yourself if while you're trying to achieve that 1 minute blankness, you still get some small noise. You're learning. Don't judge yourself. Finish the 1 minute, wait for the next. When it comes, do it. What you're doing is you're programming yourself to learn to shut out. By the time you do it for 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and you're entering 7 days, entering a week, it will become a little simple. You might not have mastered the silence yet, all right? But it will become a little easier, and that's what you want. You want it to be easy to approach, so that you get to a point where at the very first strike of a stressor or something that is supposed to walk you up, you go down first. You can be still and know. You can find answers in peace and quiet, right? The second thing you can learn to do is it's in your breath. It's in your breathing too, right? So there is a 4-7-4 breathing model we follow. I can just ask you to breathe, take in your breath, and while you're breathing in, focus on the breath, leave everything else, just focus on the inhalation. In that moment that you're focusing on inhalation, you are distracted from everything else that's happening to you. Your whole attention is on breath. So you could inhale for 4 seconds, count the 4, hold it for 7, and keep focusing on your breath. Then exhale from your mouth another 4 times, and for another 4 seconds, with your focus. The key is the focus. Focus on your breath. In those moments, what you'll notice is that you'll feel calmer. In that calm place, you can ask yourself, what do you want? And 90 out of 100 times, the answer to that question will be the right answer you needed in the moment, because it's not coming from your mind, it's coming from your being. It's not coming from your mind, it's coming from your being. Now, what that breathing helps you to do is exactly, somebody has said it, it will have helped you reconnect with your inner self, so that you're learning to live from your being, right? So you're breathing and then focusing, trying to catch your next thoughts. Now, the beauty with trying to catch your next thoughts is you can expand that 1 minute. You can keep, it's okay, I've tried it for 1 minute. I know how to stay blank for 1 minute. Can I move to 2 minutes? Can I move to 3 minutes? Can I move to 4 minutes? Just explore with it so that you can continue. The spirit on your inside, I'm going to say this so you grasp it, so you know that this is not just an endless, it's not just a mindless exercise. The spirit on your inside, the spirit that is powering the body that you're carrying around, is older than time. That spirit has a knowledge of what was, what is, and because it is an offspring of God, it can know what is to come. it is a repository of infinite wisdom. Your mind deals with knowledge and understanding. Your spirit deals with wisdom. The spirits that you are deal with wisdom. Every time you blank your mind, you are asserting your spirit. Asserting, telling, okay, I know you are here. I understand you are here. I understand you're what's powering this body, right? It is older than it came out of eternity and entered into time for you to stay in body, because in itself it is eternal. That's what you are trying to access every time you blank your mind, saying, can I get truth now? Can you help me now? And if you're a Christian, it is your spirit, that spirit that the Holy Spirit works with, not your body. Anyways, right? So learn that. Learn that, and the more you do it, the more you will find, and I'm telling you this so you can go and do it, the more you will find that the answers that come from that place are almost always correct if you follow through, right? And then the third thing, which perhaps is important, blanking, breathing. What's most important? I mean, well, all of them are particularly important, but the third thing you can continue to do, all right? Like this one is continue to do it. It's always reappraise. Every time a situation happens, reappraise it. Just reappraise it, just flip it, right? The moment a panic wants to come, just flip it. What's happening to me? What am I thinking right now? What do I want to think? Flip it. Learn to flip it. You will not be deceiving yourself. No, you'll be living in the reality you want to live in. Because every time you think, you put focus in something. And that focus is what allows reality to unfold. All right, so these simple things, you can start with them. You can start with catching your thought. You can start with breathing and just focusing on your breath. And then you can start with reappraising an event as it happens. Just flip it before it begins to possess you. There's a lot more, but at least you can begin with this, and then you build up on it with other things later.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prof. And thank you so much, guys, for all the feedback from the chat box. I can see this is intellectual exposition. This is amazing. Prof, we have some questions there.
Yeah.
Evelyn said, could you shed more light on the connection between the stressor and your conscious and unconscious mind, if there is any?
There is, right? It is your conscious mind that stress happens in your consciousness, not in your subconsciousness.
So I think to make so that everybody will understand, can we just dabble a little bit into the conscious and the unconscious so that people will be able to balance and understand that interjection between, just briefly in the layman language, if I'll say.
Okay. All right. You. So your conscious mind is your thinking mind, is the mind with which you engage this life. So what we are doing now is a conscious thing. It's a conscious mind thing. Talking, walking, stuff, all the regular stuff that are happening in your life. Every behavior is a conscious behavior. So it's how you relate with this plane. But the mind, although the mind is one mind, it has two layers. The conscious mind is the one that lives on this dimension. The subconscious mind is a program mind. This mind, some people will call it spirit, really, because that is where 90% of your entirety rests. So when you go to sleep at night, okay, right as I'm talking now, my lungs is carrying out its function. My heart is beating. Every organ in my body is functioning like it should function, but I'm not thinking about them. I'm not thinking about my heartbeat. In fact, sometimes it takes silence for you to really now not hear, but feel your heartbeat by yourself. Most people don't even feel it. Most people have not slowed down to a point where they can actually feel their own heart pulsating by itself. In fact, if you have not, it's a proof of how noisy your mind is. Because if you slow it down well enough, you can actually feel the pulse where it is. Not when you touch your hand or touch your neck. No, you can actually feel your heart beating. Now, all of those things are happening via subconscious programming. So my subconscious mind is running my body, really. My conscious mind is allowing me engage with this life. So it is subconscious that programs, when I showed you the slides about how the body renews itself, that's a subconscious programming. So it runs everything. Your subconscious mind is your program mind. The subconscious mind does not, I like to call it the source mind. It does not, it is the mind that came, I'm trying to explain it, the fuller load of you, right? In Christian parlance, that holds the biggest essence of God. It is with the subconscious mind that you relate with the cosmos. You relate with the world, not this physical world. You relate the things that are as they should be. That's why your subconscious mind does not need a resource to create anything. It needs an instruction. I'll say that so you grasp it. Your subconscious mind does not need a resource. Doesn't need for this your conscious mind to function. It needs data. It needs knowledge. It needs information. Your subconscious mind does not need data in that sense to function. No, it needs instruction. It runs with beliefs. Whatever your subconscious mind has held is a belief. It governs the realities that they will see in your life. I'll use a very good illustration to drive this. The one person who can help you open up how the subconscious mind functions will be the hypnotherapist. The hypnotherapist will tell you that, look, I'll put you to sleep, which is what they actually do. They bypass your conscious mind. And by the way, anesthesias help you do that when they're going to what's the word? Operate on someone. They give them a drug.
Operating on someone.
You give them a drug that knocks them out. That drug literally just shuts down your conscious mind, shuts down conscious functioning. In that moment, the subconscious is active and alive. That's why when they are going to call you out of an induced subconscious process with anesthesia, they often ask that nobody should be around because the things you'll be saying in that moment are coming from your subconscious. They are deep truths about your life, even truths that you have not accepted, things that you have done that you have not told anybody in your life. You'll be saying it because it's subconscious programming. It's a subconscious function. Now, what your subconscious mind does, and this is why it's important, is it takes instruction from you and makes those instructions into reality. Because those instructions, when they come, it receives them as belief, right? So the hypnotherapist will tell you that, look, I'm going to put you off, and then by the time I call you out at the count of 10, in 5 minutes, you have a rash on your left arm. And then when he puts you in, he auto-suggests your subconscious mind. He tells your subconscious mind that this person, I'm going to call him out after count of 10. He's going to have a rash on his left arm. And then he calls him out, and then the person starts itching. And then in 5 minutes, there's a rash. People say it's witchcraft. No. When he spoke that instruction to the subconscious mind took it as belief and then went and began to call out all the... So it triggered the biological process that will cause a rash. There is a biological process that causes this breakout on my skin. There's a biological process that causes a rash on your skin. It triggers that biological process and the rash comes out. Now, how does stress connect with your conscious or unconscious mind? First, so before I even say, let me explain this. So some behaviors, all your behaviors are conscious behaviors, all right? Conscious behaviors. But all the behaviors that have become habits are subconscious. Why? When you first began to behave that way, remember, one of the ways by which the subconscious mind is scripted is by repetition. Repetition is powerful. When you first behaved that way, the subconscious mind took notes, but it was not something it was going to run for you. By the time you did it the second time, the fourth time, the fifth time, it became a repetition, became an imprinted neural pathway. Your conscious mind now took the signal for handling that thing over, passed it to your subconscious. So you know what? Take. Henceforth, when this happens, do this. So it has become a subconscious program. But it was a conscious mind that locked it and handed it over. Now, get this. This is how it connects with stress. When an event happens and you interpret it in a particular way the first time, the second time, the fourth time, the fifth time, by the time your repetition of interpretation had grown to a particular extent, the response that comes that used to be a conscious response before will now become subconscious, because your conscious mind will have moved it to subconscious, so that the moment this event happens, this is how you're going to be. Sometimes it might not even be a direct, a complete replication of the event, but once the mind says, okay, that's what's happening, this is what's going to be, you have programmed your response into your subconscious mind because of how you've repeated it. So that's the connection. The connection first is your conscious appraisal first says, okay, for example, my boss always shouts on me. Because he always shouts on me, means I'm not good enough for my job. So every time I see my boss, I feel small. Every time I see my boss, I feel inadequate. Every time I come close to him, there is a sense of low self-esteem I carry around, right? But I program that thought first, my perception of my boss's behavior. In fact, my boss could just be a difficult person by himself. My boss could have a difficult spouse. There are a myriad of ways that a myriad of reasons my boss will have been behaving in a particular way, but my perception of his behavior starts every time I see somebody who shouts like my boss. This is not my boss. So every time I see somebody who shouts like my boss, my behavior will just come out. It has gone from conscious to subconscious because I had programmed that behavior into myself. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So I'm like the cat that sat on a hot stove. Now, anywhere I see stove, I run because I had one experience. So that's the connection, the link between stressors and then your conscious and subconscious mind. I don't know if I've answered that question.
Yes, you have. Evelyn, is that okay? I believe that explanation is great. Can you hear me, guys?
That was beautifully answered. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for asking the question. I was also going to add to it that, how many of us, while growing up, you see your mother or your father and you're telling yourself, I can never be like you see the way she does this, I can never be like her, not knowing that constantly watching and seeing it, you're storing it in your subconscious. And voila, by the time you grow up, you just discover that exactly what your mother was doing then that you didn't like about her is what you're replicating, because you have unconsciously and you have seen it as the belief and you're taking it in. So my niche is working with divorced people. I'll always bring it back to family to say that they say it's generational cause. If you don't know how to manage conflict, it is what you see that you see as the belief or the best way to do it. You store it into especially when it happens over and over and over again, it is repeated, just like Prof said, and you store it in your subconscious. And that's why we say 95% of who you are is your subconscious, because all those information, we just store them there unconsciously. And so when the situation or the event is playing out, you just pick it from there. And that will be the response. You want to say something?
Sorry, let me chip in.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we think genetics is biological, really. Genetics is more subconscious than is biological. Sorry. Now, so get this. So I will explain this, and I'm sorry, everyone. I just had to draw this so you get that. It's more subconscious than is biological. So while you are behaving now, right? You are adapting. Every behavior is supposed to be how will I call it? It's supposed to be how you adapt and survive. And we often tell people that you are not using your cells to recreate anything. Your cells are using you, spirits, using your subconscious process to create a template for the next spirit that would come from you. Your cells, they are using you, your behavior, your patterns, your survival mechanisms as a resource to create a template for the next spirit that will come. So when you want to talk about ancestral behaviors, it's actually behavioral. All your behaviors that you use to adapt. So when it's okay, another spirit is coming, let's give this spirit something that this spirit can use to run in this world. So this was this behavior, this person. And the way the subconscious works, it cannot tell simulation from reality. It cannot tell bad from good. So long as you did it repeatedly, it was a behavior that you used to adapt. I'll say it again. So long as you did it repeatedly, it was a survival behavior. Whether it's a habit of madness, it was a survival behavior. So your subconscious codes it with protein and passes it down to the next generation, say survive. That's where genetics evolve, all right? That's why we say that, look, so it's a programming. It's more subconscious than it's biological. So there is a subconscious element to that biological process. And the beauty is that you, right now, the science of epigenetics have taught that you can code a behavior that is not in your bloodlines at all, something that has not been experienced before. Yeah, really, really and truly, there's nothing like ancestral cause. It's just behavior coded inside subconscious programs, right? But let me leave it, right? So you can right now code a new set of behavior that is not in your bloodlines, and you can encode it and pass to the next generation. So you see that genetics is scripted and rescripted, scripted and rescripted, scripted and rescripted by the individual. You stand in a very powerful time in your own, in the lineage of your own people. So you can program certain things that had not been inside before, and then hand it down to the next generation. I just thought to share the little, to throw that out while you were saying it.
Thank you so much. That has really helped. And I hope that you guys are following. And I appreciate the fact that you're seeing it as an educative and an instructive session. Prof had said a lot of things, and what kept coming to my mind when he was talking about our makeup, the creation and everything, is that for us to understand that everything we need for life and godliness has already been given to us. And so you can decide your reality. You can create your own reality. You can create what you want for yourself. You can create the kind of life you want for yourself. And all you need to do is just shut yourself up, go into the silent mode, pause. We don't normally do that. We just live in autopilot. You wake up, sleep. We don't have time to think, calm down. And one other thing I want to share, Prof has mentioned some processes. The other one I want to talk about is how do you start your day? That's very important. So he has said something about belief. So what you believe, you store into your conscious mind. And that's where the power of affirmation is. Say those words, write out your own affirmation and tell yourself. That way you are repeating it. And Prof had said something about the power of repetition. So by the time you repeat, I am strong, I am peaceful, I am this, you are telling and reprogramming your subconscious mind to believe and accept this about yourself. And over time, you will start seeing yourself living in that direction. What are the things you are listening to? Who are the people you're paying attention to? Are you the one that you just go on social media and you take every news in, every news that is out there? Because if you don't know, unconsciously, you are just taking them in, believing, in fact, commenting, and they become part of you. And if anything happens, I remember, I think I said it on this show some time ago, how that when we were younger, all we know about Lagos-Ibadan Express Road is accidents. So anytime we're coming to Lagos, there's this fear, my heart will be here. Up till now, but I have to be restructuring that belief, because that was what we were taught. And in those days, there was no phone. And so they will say, maybe he has died on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, that kind of thing. So there are some things we have taken in unconsciously that are leading and directing us. We need to pay attention to all these things. Thank you very much, Prof. Are you still here? Okay, I'm trying to see if we have other questions in the chat box. And please, guys, I want us to learn to pay attention to ourselves. Please, let's pay attention. Yes, Buki said we can rescript, reprogram for the next. Very, very important. We need to do this for the next generation. You don't want to pass down what was passed on to you. You don't want to pass it down. I am still an advocate of, we need to start teaching the power of mind, the conscious and unconscious mind in primary and secondary school. Let these guys understand it early. I know that, even as a child, we were in that state of subconscious as a child. And as we grow, by the time you're growing, can you hear me, please? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you. So as a child, we were born into that state of unconsciousness. You're born into that state of subconscious. But by the time you're growing up, Daddy will write his own script on you. Mommy will write her own script. Neighbors write theirs. Your siblings and all those things you put together, you believe them and you stop. And that's why that's why we do some things we do. That's why we act the way we do at times, because of all those things. So if these children are able to learn this, I don't know if you have educators, I don't know if you have, what do we call them now? Decision makers in the house. Please, we need to understand this. If we're able to understand the power of the mind and how our life is supposed to run, we'll be able to guide against a lot of things. We'll be able to guide against a lot of things. I will be able to put structures and systems in place that will help us live in peace and harmony. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay. Joyful Uwem said, everybody in the growth environment impose their invisible lifestyle on growing children. You can imagine, you're just imposing your invisible lifestyle on those children. They don't even know, and they're just speaking it and taking. That's the same thing that happens to you. And that is why, Prof said 95% of who you are is as a result of what you have in your subconscious mind. So we need to start paying attention to all this. What else do I have there? Any additional material to continue to educate ourselves? Let me see. Yeah, we have lines that you can call. Admin, can you please drop the office line in the chat box for follow-up of counseling? Okay, Ekwase said, please, where can we learn more of some of these things you have taught this morning? So admin, can you please drop this? And the alien class is going on. Can you drop the information? I don't know if any of my admins are here. Mutolani Abe, are you here? Yes, okay, so a phone number has been dropped in the chat. Yes, so please drop the link for the alien class too. Thank you. Drop the link, thank you very much. Yes, so in this class, majorly you're taking through this process of understanding who you are, why you are where you are, and there's that restructure, the cognitive restructuring programming that takes place in that class. You might want to join. The class started, I think, on last week, Saturday. Yes. Please sign up, click on the link, sign up. And if you need to, yeah, I started last week, Saturday, and it's once in a week. So you can still catch up. We have recorded videos, and you can catch up with the class. it is a powerful thing. It runs for 13 weeks, and it's every Saturday. It comes up every Saturday. Please feel free to click on the link. And if you want to, I've also dropped my number. You can WhatsApp me. You can send WhatsApp message to either of the two numbers for more details, more follow-up, counseling, and all. We do all that. This understanding will liberate you. I'm sure somehow you have a kind of freedom in your mind. And please, practice does not make perfection. Knowledge. I'm trying to. Constant practice makes perfection. Constant practice. So the breathing in and out that Prof demonstrated. Prof, by the time we are rounding up, I want you to take us through the 4x7 process so that we can have beautiful Saturday. Any other question, please? I have my phone number there. We have the admin number there. We have the link. And you know that's the essence of this. We have given a lot. We have given so much. And this is what we do every Saturday. If you're going to get this kind of thing, you're going to pay for it. But we have decided to bring it to you free. And we're saying that you need to run with all this information. If you now need assistance, please call these numbers and we're there to help you. The good book that I read says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. I hope you know that. It is talking about even God's people. Now we have the knowledge. Please, let's get more knowledge and let's practice what we have given. And with this, we come to the end of the September edition of the family meeting. I remain Ebunlo Mofawole. Please contact me and reach me on that phone number or the admin number. And there is the link there. You can also follow Ezeogu Chukwemeka on Instagram and reach out to him. You can just chat him, inbox him on Instagram, and he'll respond to you. Thank you very much. Do you have any other question? Any other question as we round up, please? How has the session been for you? I want to see you. I want to see the chat bubbling. Thank you, Modukwe. Thank you, Modukwe. Yes. Somebody is asking about the fear of flying. Ekwase, please, we are running against time. Please just reach out to the number. You can reach out to me and let's talk about it. Yes, I'm glad you have value for your time, Abibo. I'm glad. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bookie Judge. I'm highly honored to have you in the house. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Yeah, Joyful Ewem, thank you so much. Thank you. A most awesome session. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, Emeka, can we have our breathing exercise? Do I still have Emeka in the house?
All right, yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll just do 1 or 2 circles quickly. So I like that you're sitting, your feet are touching the ground. Just earth yourself like you're earthing a wire. Yeah. Please don't hold your hands, don't fold your legs. Just be as free here as you can be. Don't be any. You will take in through your nose for 4 seconds. We will hold the breath for 7 seconds, and then you release through your mouth for 4 seconds. Take in through your nose, 4 seconds. We'll hold the breath for 7 seconds and we'll release through our mouth for 4 seconds. All right, are we ready? 1.
Goes on. Let's do this together. If you can release your video, it will be fun. Yeah, let's go on, Emeka.
It's still together. Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Let's go on.
All right, so yeah. Okay, so let's breathe in for 4 seconds. 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Out. 2, 3, 4. Me. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? All right. So it's that simple. You take in, I'm not going to count now so that I can do it too. So this second circle, I'll just do it. I'm not going to count. We'll do it together. We'll take in for 4, hold for 7, out for 4. 1, 2, go. We'll do one last time and I'll be out of your face. 1, 2, go. In. So how do you feel? I feel good already.
Yeah, that
Thank
feels
you
good.
so much for having me.
That feels good. Thank you so much, Emeka. I am so excited and I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll have you more. We will have you more on this show. And guys, don't forget to reach out to the contacts, the numbers we have on the chat box. And if you want to catch up with the class that is presently on, please click on the link, and you can even call for inquiries. You can also call for inquiries on the class. We have recorded, started last week, Saturday. Another class is today. And it's going to be an amazing one for you. Please follow Chukwuemeka on Instagram at Ezeogu Chukwuemeka, and just inbox him. He'll be ready to assist with. Emeka, do you want to drop your contact in case we have people that want to reach out to you? I know you're a very private person. I know. And that's why I'm saying they should reach out to you on Instagram. Do you want to drop your number in the chat for people to reach out to you for assistance?
All right, I'll do that now.
All right,
I'll do that now. All right.
Thank you very much, everyone. With this, we come to the end of the September edition. Looking forward to having you in October. October is my birth month, and we're gonna have it hot. Yeah, family, looking forward to in October. Thank you. Yes, Emeka has dropped his number in the chat. Have a restful weekend. Bye.